All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the authentication because that's gonna help us move with the rest of the stuff. All right, so what we're gonna do is first of all come here and we're gonna go to auth.js.dev. Okay, you're gonna come here and the first thing I want to do is get started, and I'm just trying to find where the, let me expand this. So I'm just trying to find where we can do the npm install. All right, so we're gonna come here and then you want to copy this npm install, and then I will open this terminal here and we're gonna fire this up. Cool, so that's installed. And what the other thing we need to do is, so I'm gonna do Google and Facebook, and if you can get these done, then the rest are actually easy. You just follow the same kind of process. So let's say I come here and I'm gonna expand this so we get the sidebar, and we're gonna go to the login providers, and here's all your providers. So let's start with Google. And what basically we need to do this, but first you need to get the client ID and the client secret. So go over to here, click on that link they gave you. You want to click on the credentials under the APIs and services, and you want to click create credentials and select OAuth client ID like so. And so I'm going to select the web application. You want to name it, so I'm going to say easy rental. You want to add the URI, so it's going to be localhost 3000 because it's a local host. So for the callback, go back to the auth.js, and they actually provide it to you. So it's going to be right here for development. You want to copy this one. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it right here, and then we're going to hit create. And that's how easy it is. And then what you do is we need to now add this into our environment file. So copy the client ID. I'm going to come to my .env file, and I'm just going to label this. So I'll say Google, and then we're going to do Google client ID, and just paste this. And then we're going to also do Google client secret like that. I'll come back here. I'm going to copy this one. Then I'll go back here and we're going to paste this. Then I'll save it. I'm going to close this and we're okay here. So I'm going to hit OK. So I think we're done with this. Then the next step is you want to come over here to your app, and then I'm going to create a new folder and we're going to call it API. So we're going to create a new folder within the API, and I'm going to call this auth. Okay, and then yet another folder, ... So you make sure the square brackets. Basically, all you're saying is, anything. That's all it's going to accept. So API auth, whatever. Then within this Nextauth folder, we are going to create a route.ts file, like so. All right. So what do we put in this TS file? Well, we're going to come here and we will say export const auth options, and this is of type auth options from Nextauth. And then we're going to now create the providers. So I'm going to say providers. Okay, so here, as we said, we're providing Google and Facebook, but all providers, let's say you're doing Apple, Microsoft, you can add all of them here. So I'll say Google provider. So it's not going to bring it. So what you need to do is you need to say import Google provider from, and we'll do next-auth providers Google like that. Okay, so then I'll say provide Google provider like that, and then we need to give it the client ID and the I think is it's a default export probably in that file. So what we need to do is we need to say client ID like that. And then this is where you're going to take it from your process.env.google client ID, and then we're going to do client secret, and then you do process.env.google client secret. Okay, I just need to spell this. Let's make sure we got this right. Google client ID, Google client secret. All right, so you need to just tell it that it is a string, like that. All right, so that's actually all you need to start with basic authentication. Okay, actually one thing you need to do is you need to come back here, and I completely forgot about it, that you need to actually create a Nextauth. We create the auth options, but we're not using it actually. So I'm going to say handler is equal to Nextauth. Okay, and then we do the auth options like that. And don't forget to export the handler as get and as post. So it's going to handle the guest and post requests like that. So I'm just going to do handler. I'm going to save it. All right, so when that is done, then what we can do is we also need to provide the pages, right? So when somebody lands on sign in, what do they see? So I'll come here and I'll say pages. Okay, and I can do sign in, and it's going to be auth sign -n. So now you must be asking, well, what is this? So what you do is you come here. So under the app, we're going to create a new folder. It's going to be called auth. And then within that, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it sign -in. Then within that, we'll create a new file, and let's just call it page.tsx, like that. All right, so within this is going to be a client component, so I'll do use client, like that. And I'm just going to do export default function sign in, like that. Okay, and then we just return something. All right, so what I can do, I can say max with container that we created earlier, and then in here I'm going to put h1, and let's just call it welcome to easy rental, like that. So let's actually go to this page, and let's see if, there you go. So we're seeing this here. I'm gonna minimize this, like that. All right, so for this, let's just give it a classes of border, rounded, and shadow, and padding Y of 24, and margin top of 8. There you go, that's that. And for this one, I'll do class name and text dash to Excel, font bold, and text at center. There you go, that's that. All right, I'm going to do this. So we need whatever buttons you're doing, you're just going to put them here. So I'm going to put a horizontal divider, like that. And then what I will do is, okay, I don't know what happened here, but that's not what I wanted. It was supposed to be center. Yeah, that explains it. Okay, so here I'm gonna do a flex dash column item center and width of full and space dash y dash 2 and padding y dash 8. Okay, and then what I want to create here is a button from components, and we're just going to give it a class name, whoops, class name of shadow dash small, just subtle, and a variant of outline. Okay, and then there you go, that's your button. So what we want to put inside the button is basically sign in with Google. Whoop. Like that, sign in with Google. So it'll be nice to have a Google ID, sorry, the logo. So what I can do is I can say image, and this image is coming from next image, and I'm going to give it a width of 24 and a height of 24, like that. And then the source is, again, it's in the project files, so you guys can grab it from here, .svg. Okay, and alt will be just simply Google logo. Okay, and we're gonna do this. There you go. I think it would be nice to just give it a little bit of space on the right. So what I can do is I'll say class name, margin right of, let's say 2. Boop, there you go. Okay, so now once this button is hit, I want to be able to go to, sign in with Google. So how do we do this? Well, this is where, let's just bring this here, and we need to come here and we need to say on click. We're going to execute this function, okay, and it's coming from Nextauth React, and you want to tell it what do you want to sign in with. So I'm going to sign in with Google, and then we also want to say, after the user has successfully logged in, where do you want to go? So we're just going to go back to the home page. So we're going to do window dot, it's going to be location dot origin, so wherever they came from. We'll just go back to that origin, not they came from, but the origin basically. So now the other thing is, if you see this sign in function returns a promise, so that means we need to await on it. And then if you want to wait, then definitely this has to be async like that. All right, so that should technically, I guess, take us to the sign in, Google sign in. So if I hit it, there you go. So it's working, and it looks like we can go to the sign in. Let me sign in. Beautiful. So we actually are able to sign in with Google, and I think that's amazing. It'll be nice to show the logged in username to kind of drill the concept to home. So what I can do for now, I'm going to sign out, and it's going to be API auth sign out, and that's the generic sign out page. So what I will do, I'll just sign out. You can definitely change it. All right, so how do we get the username and all that? Well, so what we need to do is we need to actually, first of all, provide the session to the app so that we can grab it from that. And the way we're going to do this is, if I come to my layout, well, I'm going to come to my, first of all, we need to create a provider first. So the way we do this is right here in the auth, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it auth session provider.tsx, like that. And then I'm going to create a function, and it's going to be auth session provider. Okay. And then what you do is, it's going to take children, whatever it's wrapping, and this children is nothing but a React node, like that. All right, so then we're just going to return session provider, and it's going to wrap the children like that. So now you must be asking, well, what's session provider? Session provider comes from import session provider from Nextauth React. And then what we all, okay, so I guess that's why it wasn't not bringing it, because I did a fantastic job of spelling it incorrect. So session still, there you go. So that works. I think I should also bring React, import React from React. Cool. Now this has to be a client component, so we need to use client. I like it so. All right. So then, with that done, you just need to come here and you just need to say export default auth session provider. There you go. So then I'm going to go back to my layout, and what we can do is we can wrap this thing. So this is the main layout of your project, of your app, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna save it. So now no errors, nothing. It looks good. So I'm gonna close this. So now let's go back to my header, And I'm just going to close everything so we have less clutter. So remember how we, if you've been watching the project from the start, we created a session. So now what we can do is we can say get server session from Nextauth, and you need to give it the auth option. So that's one of the object, I guess one of the argument. So we can do auth options like that. Okay, so this one, it returns a promise, and we need to then await on it, which means we need to make this async. Cool. With that done, then right here beside the menu icon, which is this one, what I can do is I can do something like this. I can say session dot user dot now. I'll say name. Well, actually, we'll just say session dot user. If the session dot user exists, then we can go ahead and do the rest of the thing. So all I'll do is I'll just say session dot user dot name, like that. There you go. I'm gonna hit save. So currently there's we're not logged in there, so it's not showing anything. All right, so now that we have added the name, the one thing we also need to do is we need to come here to the end file, and you want to add a token here. It's called Nextauth secret. Okay, and what you can do is just go online and just do like let me just come here, hash token generator. So basically just come here and just say this is an easy rental app, right? And it's just going to basically just pick whatever you want. So I can do SHA-25. It's going to generate this huge string, but just generate one, and then what you want to do is you want to come back here and then just paste it like that. Okay, paste it twice. So yeah, just paste it here, and then I'm gonna just bring this to the next line. We're gonna save this. Cool. With that done, and then let's now try to log in and see if we can at least display the name here. So I'm gonna come here and I'll say API auth sign in. Okay, let's sign in with Google. I'm gonna pick this one. Aha, there you go. So now, as you can see, the name is coming, which is amazing. So what I can do is let's also do the sign out, which will be in the header. So as you can see, we have kind of placed this template. And what we can do is we can then now do the sign in, sign out. Now the thing is that this header is a server component, right? So, but the button, we can't put the sign in, sign out button here because it's going to have the sign in, sign out basically click handlers. So what we can do is we can basically come here to our components, and within this I'll create a new file and I will call it sign in button.tsx. Okay, and we will just do sign in button. Okay, and the sign out button is going to be the same story. So this has to be a use client component. Okay, so the way you do this is you just come here and you're going to do a button. So that's coming from UI button, and what we will do, we'll just say sign in. Okay, like that. And then what we want to do is on click, we want to basically just call the sign in button from Nextauth React. That's all you need to do. That's it. And I think for variant, I'm gonna keep it at ghost because I don't want to see the, well, actually we're not using it. So let's go ahead and use it. So if I come here and if I do sign in button like that, let's see. If I come here, oh, there you go, sign in. Okay, one problem I see is there's a padding. I want it to be kind of aligned. So if I go to sign in, and what we can do, class name padding x of 0, let's see, perfect. All right, so that worked well. And what I will do is I'll copy this button and then this will be a sign out button. So we will do sign out like that, and then I'll do sign out, and we will do sign out. I'm gonna get rid of this. So what we can do, you can say sign out. There you go. So that's your sign out button. And so I'm gonna close this, close this. So now the thing is, if we need to do like this, if there is a session, okay, then we show the sign out button. Okay, otherwise we show the sign in button. Makes sense. If you're logged in, then so let's see if this works. There you, okay, I think we messed up. So if I go to okay, we need to change the wording, sign out. Perfect. As you can see, so we're logged in, so I'm going to do sign out. Okay, we got logged out. I'm going to sign in. Okay, I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to sign in. Beautiful. So look, this is amazing. I'm excited. So our sign in and sign out is working very well. And one thing I see here is if I sign out, this kind of ugly thing is appearing. So let's see if we can fix that. So okay, so we have a session, which is good. That's working very well. So we have this right here. So this is above. Let's see. Yeah, I think the problem is this. So what I should have done is this. Okay, I'm gonna take this and put this here, and let me just organize this a bit. Okay, so if I save it, let's see if that did anything. Session, if I have a session, then we show this drop down menu item, which is rented items. Let's see, there's one more, which is this one. And if we come here, I need to come here and do this. Okay, so let me just fix this. And I think there is this separator that's probably causing issue. Let me get rid of it and see what happens. Yeah, there you go. So that works. So now if I sign in, go to Google. Okay. So now we have this rented items, sign out. So that's working very well. And then if I sign out, then basically we're here. So I think that's good. I like it. One thing I will do is on the, when I sign in, I come here, is I want to make this bold. So what I can do is I can say class name, font dash bold. Whoop. Like that. So that works well. And then what we can also do is take this guy, and I think if we put it here, yes, so we need to do the fragment thingy. Don't forget your fragments, guys. All right, so let's see. Aha, that's what I wanted. All right, so I'm going to sign out, and that's clean. I'm going to sign in, go in. Beautiful, liking it. All right, so now let's go ahead and do the Facebook login. All right, so for Facebook login, so remember how we were on the Google. I'm gonna come here and we're gonna hunt down Facebook. For some reason, I find Google a bit easier. All right, so you're gonna go to Facebook OAuth documentation, like that. All right, and what you wanna do is you wanna come over here to, so sorry, before we go forward, you need to create a developer account. And to create a developer account, you need to create a Meta account. So create a Meta account, then create a developer account, and then you can basically, when you click on the link right here, then you can actually land on this one. So it's developer.facebook.com. So we're gonna click on apps, and then this is where all the apps that you have created. So let's create an app. And basically you only have three options, but we're going to select the authenticate and request data from user with Facebook login. That's what we want. So you're going to click this, and you can read whatever the hell you want to, if you want to read it. Then we're going to go ahead and click on next. And no, I'm not building a game, so we're going to click next. All right, so this is where you want to provide a support email. Make sure it's a correct email. And then here I'm going to type the name of the app, and basically just create app. Cool. So you're going to land on this page, and you can go in here if you want, and then go to settings. So by the way, before they used to have this is optional, you could just check and uncheck it, because let's say you want to do this in localhost on your local computer, but now they just it's by default HTTPS, so I don't even know why they put it if you can change it. So anyway, you don't need to put anything here. I see on forum people were like, oh, what do I put localhost? Don't do it, because they will just take care of it for you, Facebook. So I mean, I'm just gonna, that's another thing I don't like. It says saved, but I don't know where to go from here. So anyway, so I'm gonna go back to apps. That's the app we created. And one thing then we do is come to app settings, basic. This is where your app ID, by the way, is. This is your client ID, and this is going to be your app secret. So they're here. And then what we can do is we can just come here to add platform. I'm going to select website. I'm going to hit next, and this just provide your site name. Localhost /3000. Save changes. Okay, so that's that. So if you do this, you're gonna, let's say, just like anybody would do, you're gonna come here and you're gonna go to your end file, and we are going to then come here and say Facebook, let's say. And then just like this one, I'm gonna come here, I'll say client ID, and let me just do this client secret. All right, so we come here, we're gonna copy this, paste it, and then I'm gonna say show, copy this, paste it. Okay, then I'm gonna save this, and then what I will do is I'm gonna close the header. We're gonna come to the providers, and then here we just do simply Facebook provider. So of course not gonna come in, so what we do is we say import Facebook provider, and it's coming from Nextauth providers Facebook. Okay, like that. All right, so then I can do provider, and it's the same story. We have client ID, and it's going to be process.m.facebook client ID, and then you're going to do client secret, and it's going to be process and Facebook client secret, like that. So we don't forget to force unwrap it, I guess. And I'm gonna hit save. All right, so now we will come back to our app, and let's say I'm gonna sign out. All right, and this time, well, actually, wait, let's not get excited. So we need to come here to the page, and remember how we added one for Google. We need to do the same and add one for Facebook. Okay, it copies it 2 times. I don't know why, but what we need to do here is in the sign in thing, we're just gonna do Facebook, and then it's gonna be Facebook logo, and then it's gonna be Facebook logo, and sign in with Facebook. All right, so I'm gonna hit save, and let's go to sign in, see what happens. Cool, so now you got sign in with Facebook. So I'm gonna hit sign in with Facebook, and basically there is an error. And if we go to the if we come here, it says client ID is required. Okay, so let's go back to the route and see if we made a mistake. Facebook client ID, Facebook client secret. So let's open the env file, and that's amazing. Sometimes copy and paste will get you. So I'm gonna do Facebook, okay, client ID, and I'm gonna do Facebook client secret. Let me save it, and let's try this again. So I'm gonna hit this again. Sorry, something went wrong, go back, blah blah blah. We are working. All right, so I just want to show you guys the problem so you guys are not scratching your heads like I did. So what you have to do is go back to this, your project. You're going to select your app, then you're going to do create test app. Click that. We're going to say dev, right, for development, and I'm just going to do create test app. Okay, stay on this page or leave this page. I'll say leave this page. Okay, so now you are in the dev app. Then I'm going to come here to app settings, basic. Now you're going to take this app ID and I'm going to put this here. Then I'm going to come here to app secret. I'm going to take this app secret, paste this here. I'm going to save it. Okay, and then we're going to come here and refresh. Actually, let's just do this from the start. So I'm going to, okay, so oops, I'm going to say sign in with Facebook. And there you go. So now basically you're getting the proper whatever it says, easy, it's requesting access, blah blah blah. So you're just gonna say continue. Auth callback error, and that shouldn't happen because we have the dev app. Let's make sure we provided the right oh, wait a minute. So 149, so this is correct. I'm just gonna do this. DB846, where's DB846? I think, you know what happened was when I pasted, yeah, see it's here. When I pasted the other one, they kind of got copied together. So what I will do is I'll copy this and I'm gonna do it properly. So I'm gonna select, paste this, that's correct. I'm going to save it. We're going to go back, and now if I do sign in with Facebook, awesome, there you go. Look at this. So now I'm signed in as signed in with Facebook. The thing is showing the first and last name. I think what I want to do is just show the first name, and for that we can go back to our header, where you are, right, it's here. And the way we can do this is right here. So what if I did split, because it has a space, and what if we just took the first name? There you go, there you go, that's awesome. So I'm going to sign out. That's good, so I've signed out. So now I'm going to go back to sign in. I'm going to sign in with Google, and let's see, look at this, that's crazy. So now we can sign in with Facebook and we can sign in with Google. And that basically covers the authentication part of the cool. So now we can actually go ahead and do the rest of the stuff. We go ahead and see if we can use the or actually store the user session account and info in the database so that we can basically have a nice proper session thing going on. And for this we're going to connect the MongoDB with our Next or Auth through a MongoDB adapter. So the way it works is if you come here to providers, and so these are the Auth providers, what we are looking for is the database provider. So here's database providers, and you're gonna come here and look for MongoDB. Here we go. So this is your Mongo thingy adapter, just copy it. Then we're gonna go back to our app and going to install it. So I'm going to say MongoDB adapter. It's going to install MongoDB as well. So that's kind of cool. All right, so let's just take a look and see what, because I think the versions are probably, so this is 6.3.0, which is okay. And then we have the adapter is 2.0. Blah blah blah. So that should work. And the other thing we need to install is Mongoose. I'll say npm install Mongoose. And the version that I'm going to install is 8.0.3 because that worked or works with this MongoDB adapter and blah blah blah. Okay, so that takes care of that. So I'm just going to close this. And now what we need to do is probably go ahead at this point and create these schemas, and so that we can shape our users. So I'm going to close this. And what we can do is in the root, create a new folder and let's call it schemas, like that. All right, and then within this, let's create a new folder and let's call it types. All right, so I'm going to go inside the types and I'm going to create a new file and let's just call it index.ts. So basically all we do is in this one is just create a user, right? And there's no need to type it. I'm just going to copy and paste from the GitHub repo. So all they have is ID, name, so the image will be the profile image, and email, verified phone, and email. So that's that. So then we're going to go ahead in the schemas. I'm going to create a new file. Create a new file. Actually, it should be in schemas. Yep, we're going to create a new file. And I think, so this should be here. Okay, and then the schemas, we're going to create a new file and user.ts, like that. Just want to make sure, yeah. Okay, so within this, I'm going to say const user schema is equal to new schema. So this should come from Mongoose, and the type is user that we just created. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'm just going to open this, like that. And let's just do export const user model is equal to models.user. So if it's already defined, just give us that. Otherwise, what we will do is we're going to do model, just come from Mongoose, and we will say user, and it's going to be user schema. So it's going to create a new one for us. All right, so it looks like it didn't bring that, so there you go, that's that. All right, so in here all we do basically is the fields that we defined here, we're basically just going to define them again. So I'm going to copy these, come here, and then just paste. So this should be, I'm going to fix this quick. Cool. Now one thing I would like to do is Mongoose, if you do this timestamps equals true, then Mongoose is going to create these two extra fields for you, which is when the item is created and when it's modified, so we don't have to track that, which is I think pretty cool. All right, so now what we can do is actually just close this, and then that's this, and then we can actually come here and start doing the provide the adapter here. But before that, we need to actually now go ahead and create a Mongoose DB, I guess, in the lib folder. So if I come here, I'm going to create a new file, mongodb.ts. So this is where like the database connection, we need to define it. So if you come here, that page, they actually give you a very nice example on how to do it, right? So what I can do actually is copy this part. At least we just have to change a little bit, and there's a reason for it, which I'll explain. And so that's that. And then what we need to do is we need to say const URI is equal to process.env.mongodb URI. So this is, I'm going to show you guys how when we do the set up the MongoDB, then this is where we get this. So don't worry about it, I'll explain it. Okay, then we need to define a type here, and then it's going to be Mongo client type, and it's going to be Mongo client, and it's going to be mongoose dot Mongo. Okay, so I think I need to bring in mongoose, so I'll say import mongoose, and I'll also bring in mongoose from mongoose, like that. All right, so then it's going to be mongo dot Mongo client, like that. All right, and then I will also do let client is equal to of type Mongo client type. Okay, and then we're just going to define a global global. So you see how they're doing here, but we're just doing it a little bit different. Okay, so we'll say global with Mongo is equal to global as type of global this. Okay, so you're kind of defining this database client in the global scope, so we don't create again. And the whole reason this is only for development, for you don't do this for production. And if you read this, they will explain that that's because of the hot module reader. So every time you make a change in React, it reloads the whole page, the component, and then every time you're just going to keep creating these database connections. So to prevent that, we are doing this. That's the whole reason. All right, so what we can do then is export const connect to DB. Okay, and this is going to be an async. All right, so if process dot env dot node, so this is given to you from the node environment. If it's development, okay, then we do one thing, otherwise we do the other thing. Okay, so I'm just going to do else. So this is for production. Let's say you move this to production. This is how you would do it then. So we'll say await mongoose dot connect, and it's going to be the URI, and then client is equal to underscore client dot connection dot get client. Right, so this is how we get the client. Now, if we are in development, the way we do this like this: if not global with Mongo dot underscore mongoose client. If we haven't defined, so let's say you start for the first time, then what we do is we say global with Mongo dot underscore Mongo client equal to await mongoose dot connect. So create one, right? So this is going to create a new connection. And let's just also come here, and we're going to do client is equal to global, and we're going to do mongoose client dot connection, and then it's going to be dot get client. So we need to get the client. And the reason why we are doing this is this client is actually required by the adapter. So that's why we need to do this to satisfy that. So that's all you need to do. So this is done. We can close this. All right, and then we can come here, and then here we can say adapter is gonna be Mongo DB adapter. It's coming from there. That's what we installed. And what we see, we need to provide a client, and it's got to return a promise of Mongo client. So we are going to do client promise. And okay, so now it's asking where's client promise coming from. So we're gonna do import client promise from at lib. I think it's gonna be at lib, and it's gonna be MongoDB. All right, so that's that. So then we're gonna do client promise like that. So it looks like we probably did not export. Yeah, we did not export that. So what you have to do is you have to come here, and you have to do export const. You're gonna do client promise equal to async and we're just going to connect to the database first, and then we're going to do return. So remember, it's a promise. We're going to do promise.resolve, and it's going to be of type Mongo client type, and we return the client like that. Okay, so now if I come here and we can come here, and now it's basically complaining that it's of this type, and so we need to just say it's of promise, and we're going to do Mongo client like that, and then finally you just have to do as adapter, and that basically now fixes that problem. So the beauty of this is now that it is going to store the user info in the database for us. So you know what, let's go to that and do that. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to mongodb.com. All right, so you're going to just sign in. I'm going to sign in with my Google. Cool. So you're going to come here, and I've done honestly so many videos in the past where I talk about how to set this up. So anyways, you're just going to come here and go to database. Make sure you have an account, by the way, and then just go to browse collections. So as you can see, I already have a database, but what I'm going to do, I'm create a new one. We're just going to call it Easy Rental YT. And then collection, I'll just say users, and I don't know what this means. So I'm not gonna just pretend I know, but I'm just gonna leave it at that, and I will say create, and it's gonna create it. So that's your thing created right there, the database. And what we then have to do is we need to go to network access, and just make sure that you put this in case you're testing. For production, you can just limit it, but for testing, just set it to that. All right, then you're just gonna come here and hit connect, then come here, and you wanna actually just grab this thing right here, the string. So you're gonna have to enter your password, whatever you use for your database, and basically that's all you need. And we're gonna take this and put it in the end file. So I'm gonna close this. All right, so we're gonna come to the end file right here, and then what I'll do is at the top I'll say MongoDB, and I'm gonna just come here and paste this. So right here is your database name. You want to change this to like YT, which is the database we created. Just want to make sure. Browse collections and Easy Rental YT. Yep, so Easy Rental YT. Yeah, there you go. So make sure you do that, and I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna get rid of that. All right, so then I think this is also good, and I think at this point, if I come here, you can see, whoops, you can see there's nothing here. All right, so what we can do is now do a sign in and see if we create an account and a session created. This is exciting, people. All right, so I'm gonna come here, and we're gonna do sign in. We'll sign with Google. Okay, it looks like no errors were thrown, which is a very good thing. So I'm gonna come here and just do a refresh. Aha, there you go. As you can see, so it created an account for us. So that's the account we provided was Google, and then the Auth, and then we have a session. That's the session right now going on. And basically it will expire too, so that's amazing. And then here's the users. There you go. We got an ID, and then the name, and then email address, and I think that's crazy. So I think with just a little bit of work, you actually get this out of the box, which I think is pretty cool. So now that that is good, one thing we need to get a hold of this ID, because we will be needing it when we are doing adding rental items installed. So I think we should take care of that. So I'm gonna go back to my app, and the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna come here, And you have these callbacks. So what you can do is you can say async and basically just say session. So you're gonna get a session and you're gonna get a user that's provided to you. So what you do is you say session dot user dot. Now as you can see, there's no ID. So how do we do this? Well, we can do this through something called a module augmentation, and it's a pretty neat technique. So we can do declare module, and the module that we're targeting is Nextauth, like that. And then what I will do is I'm going to define an interface, and let's just, so it's going to be the same name that is inside this module. And then what I can target is the user object, and I'm going to define an ID of string, like that. Then I can come here and I can say, there you go. So now you have access to ID. You can say user.id, like that. So this ID is the one that's coming from the database. All right, so then I can do return promise dot resolve, and all you have to do is just say session. I'm going to save it, and let's just log out. So I'm gonna sign in using Facebook. Cool, so that's good. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna do a refresh. Cool, so we got the second user now right here. And if I go to sessions, this is the currently active session that we have, which is cool. Okay, so that takes care of saving the session, user session, and in the database. I think that's important that we got this out of the way. And then now we're gonna move ahead